Dear Diary, today I took the first step in becoming an ADHD coach. I can't actually quite believe it. I want to learn, grow, and build something extraordinary. I think this journey will be the Indigo Diaries.
Dear Diary, welcome world to the Indigo Diaries, and welcome to our exciting new series, Series 2, The World Through a Trainee's Coach's Eyes. And that coaching training is me, Tasha Hickling. The Indigo Diaries is a podcast for those who want to learn about ADHD through others' experiences. So welcome back, everyone. And this week, I'm off work. Got 2 weeks off for spring break. And it's nice to just stop and have the number one thing that I think everybody wants more of. Time. And I've decided to take a lot of me time over this holiday, so I'm very happy about that. I've also decided to, in the holiday, I'll put an episode up every week. But when it comes to being with my full-time job and this and this with my business, my courses, and still wanting to be able to enjoy and live my life, I think that I'm going to put an episode up every 2 weeks. Because I've had that feeling of when you don't complete something and it's really not a nice feeling, and I'm trying to adapt to really be able to set up for success rather than, I don't want the podcast to feel like a chore, and it doesn't. I really love it and it really helps me, as well as I hope that it, helps you as well. But I don't want it to become a chore. So I've decided to make that decision for myself, and so I feel quite happy with that. I'm trying to set myself up for success. So every week or every 2 weeks, seeing how it goes. So, and we're going on about today about needs, wants, and motivation. Okay. So I'm needing my time. I want to be able to do the podcast, but I want to be motivated for it. So that's the choice that I've made. So that brings us on to today's topic. Okay. So the first half will be about that. The second half will take a bit of a different turn and talk about tolerations. Okay. But they all kind of interlinked in ways. So what's the difference between needs, wants, and motivation? Okay. So a need is something that we have to have. Okay. It's certain things that we have to have. We can't live without them. We can't survive. Human beings cannot survive without certain needs. Wants is very different to needs, and people sometimes don't really see the difference. Wants is a choice we want to make. It's a desire, something we want. Okay. We can live without it, but it's a desire of things that we want. And then motivation is the why we do things. It's the why we get started. It's the why we get up in the morning. It's the why we do things. Okay. So it's more like motivation is more of the emotion to why, the passion, the drive to why we do things. So we're going to start off with needs. Okay. So needs. And this really comes up. I mean, everybody has needs, everybody has wants, and everybody has motivation. But when it comes to individuals with ADHD, and then you've got, executive functions, you've got the lack of sleep, you've got this meds, this, and this, we don't really think about our needs and what we need, because sometimes in some aspects of our lives, we may need more than others. And I know for myself, I always feel like that's a chore. And I want to get round of really trying to reframe what we need is something that a lot of people are not aware of, or don't give themselves permission to live with the life of what they need. So needs, we may not be consciously aware of them, okay? And unmet needs, so needs that are not met by us, are internalized, become tolerations. So we'll get on to tolerations later. I'm jumping ahead. So unmet needs create distractions. So we really need to identify them. They create distractions. They create loss of energy. They create lots of different tolerations in our lives. And when we're not meeting our needs, then when we're just surviving, we're not living our best life. So we need to be able to identify them, and then we can meet them so we can have freedom, energy, and the number one thing that we all want, focus. Okay. And I just want to say that needs are not selfish. I used to get told that like meeting your own needs before others is selfish. It's nothing. We all require them, and this should not be seen as a negative thing. We all have our own unique individual needs, and people with ADHD have more, yet again, intensified needs, may have more requirements of things we need because we don't learn the way that a lot of other people learn. So we need very specific things. And when we don't get that, that's when things really start to become a problem. And this thing about, putting your own oxygen mask on first before the others on an airplane is a good representation of putting your own needs first. If you don't have all your needs met, then how can you help others have their needs met without being at the expense of your own? And that's hard when you've got family and this and this and this. But it's really important to really recognize what our needs are. And to know that if you're getting your needs met, you are not selfish at all. You are amazing and you are looking after yourself, and that's what we should all be doing. And Maslow's, so the first thing I want to talk about is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And a lot of people already know this. It's quite dated, it's quite old, but it's still very important. And basically it's 8 different levels of needs, and you basically work your way up. So the first one is psychological. The next one is safety, then love, esteem, cognitive, aesthetic, self-actualization, and transcendence. And you work from the bottom and go upwards, okay? So different ones mean different things. And I'm going to put a link below, like I always do, which really talks about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And different people have different things higher and lower. So like for me, safety comes before love, like 100%. And safety, love, esteem come before cognitive. So I actually quite like his order. I don't really like how many there is. And, your food, your things like this on that bottom level really come before anything else. And he says that when you're at that top, that transcendence, that when you're up there, it's like you're living your full potential and you've got your full brain capacity because all your needs are being met. It's like being like lifted when you feel kind of above yourself, where you're like, wow, look at me, look what I'm doing. And it says that, to get to transcendence obviously won't happen every day. But the fact that you're aware of where you are in a day and what you need to do to help these needs get met can really help you. And it actually, it motivates and drives our behaviors and actions. If we've not got our needs met, then it will drive our behaviors and actions. So, if we're tolerating so much in life, it will drive us to do things we may not want to do. It will drive us to do, if we're looking after ourselves, then it will drive us to do things we want to do. Okay. So they say no right or wrong answer. What are your needs? And I was like, oh my God, it's one of those things that's like an open discussion. So my big needs is exercise, above else, sleep, self-care, so time for myself, connections with others, having outlets, meditation, working with people and working hard at different projects, learning, people, recognizing my success, acknowledging myself. And I could keep going, okay? And they asked, no right or wrong answer, because there's no right or wrong answer to what you need. I may need these things, but some of the people may not need so much sleep, and they may need food, this, and this. It's different depending on who we are. And they say, how can Maslow's hierarchy help people? Why not try making your own? That's what I do. So I know that in myself, when I started looking at needs, I wasn't very self-aware. ADHD is a lack of self-awareness. And I wasn't very self-aware. So what I did was made my own hierarchy of needs. I called them my own things. And every day I start at the bottom and I ask myself, I've got like little questions. And so it's like a tower. And I ask myself little questions. Which level am I on today? What do I need to do to get higher? What do I need to do to get these needs met? And that really helps me. I've also put a blank one at the bottom to if you would like to try this. Okay. The next thing is wants. Okay. Something that we desire, but we could live without it. But my question is, should we live without it? Should we live without our wants? Do we all deserve wants? Yes. We all deserve to want things. We all deserve to have desire in our lives. However, if your needs are not being met, then you're not going to be able to have those wants. So they say, what are your wants? So for me, I want a happy, healthy life. I want to be able to be myself. I want to be able to make a difference in this community, in children's lives all over the world. I want to have fun. I want to be creative. But the number one thing for me is I want to be able to be myself. And that comes down to it for me, is my number one core value, and number one is authenticity and being myself. And they say, how are these different from needs? Needs is something that we have to have. It's not really a choice. It can be a choice, but if you're not getting your needs met, then you're really, really not living your life to the full potential, because they're things that we have to have. And then, our wants are some things that we desire. That, for me, that comes after needs. Needs, we're looking at like building blocks. Needs are at the bottom. They're the foundation of who we are, how we live our lives, and what we need. Then we can have what we want. Because if we don't get what we need, how can our brains, our fuel, our energy, our executive functions even think about what we want? Maybe for a bit. And then we go on to talk about motivation. Okay, so there's different types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. So intrinsic is the internal motivator you have within yourself. And extrinsic is when you need something external to make you motivate, or something external motivates you. So like seeing other people happy might motivate you to do something, or, getting a prize afterwards, or, the fact that it's like you're having fun with something outside and it's getting you there. Or it could be internal, like, this is my core values, this is important to me, this is why I want to do it. And it works different ways, okay? The number one thing we'd all like to do is have intrinsic motivation, where you motivate yourself to do it. That's the ideal situation, isn't it? We're motivated to do so and we just do it. And then the second is where we have to take action and do it. Okay? Sometimes when we don't want to do it. And this is what is hard when it comes to motivation, especially with ADHD, because ADHD, we've discussed this before, is really based on interest. You're not interested to do something, you're not going to be motivated to do it. So that's when these extrinsic motivators may be needed. So you may need that prize at the end, you may need that break, you may need this, and this to help you get motivated. And that's okay. Whatever way you work, whatever way gets you motivated to do the stuff that you want to do, that you need to do, works. Like we always say, what works for you works for you. And they said, discuss the difference in a need and a want, and which one's more motivating. Well, let's think about it. So I'm going to say, let's say I want to watch TV. It's a want. I'm desired to watch this new program, right? Or I need to go to sleep. I need to have 7 hours sleep. Well, which one's more motivating? The want, the desire, or something that you need to do to survive, to have a good day tomorrow? No brainer. I've got my hands up like weighing which one. It's no brainer. Of course, we're going to want to watch TV and not go to sleep. However, we have to make a balance. And I think that when you find the things that you need, when you get those things that you need, when you uncover your needs, okay, and then you see what you want. Because if your needs are not met, how can we see what we want? So for me, uncovering your needs, see what you want, and that will motivate you, okay? And it's all about being aware of what you need. Are you getting what you need? Are you doing what you want? And are you motivated to do this? And if you're not, then how can you build motivation to help you to do this? This is hard stuff, guys. It controls our daily lives. especially when it comes to task initiation, especially when it comes to doing things. If we don't want to do something, but we need to do it, it becomes a bit different. You know, like for me, I need to have it at sleep. Sometimes I don't want to go to bed at 10 o'clock because I want to be able to do something else, but it's something that I need. And without that need being met, the next day I'm not going to be able to do what I want. And it's hard, especially for us, because we don't, you know, it's now or never. Black and white thinking. Sometimes we don't think about the next day. We don't think about what's going to happen. So this is why being aware of it and going back to that Maslow's thing, making sure that we're providing ourselves with all our needs, we're meeting all of our needs in order to be able to live the life we want and be motivated to do what we want to do. You know, this really opened my eyes to be like, wow, like, you know, I've learned about this before, but I never really had put it into context. And when you really think about it and you really become aware of these things that we take for granted, like sleep, food, exercise, but when you actually start to become aware of what you need, you can live a much more fueled life. But I have to say that, guys, this is hard stuff, and you know, it's not easy, especially when, you know, we lack, or, you know, we find hard to be so self-aware. So why not take that first plunge and try out a hierarchy of needs, or think about what you actually need to do today, what you need for yourself. And we're going to take a break. Join us back after the break when we're going to talk about tolerations. And we're out.
If you would like any information on Indigo's support group, check out the website below for our link to our Facebook page, or email at indigo.adhd2020@gmail.com. If you would like to offer any comments or feedback, or if you are interested in the world hearing your story, then please reach out, either through the group or through our email. As said before, have a good week. Check in again later, Indigos. Shh, the Indigo Diaries.
Welcome back, everyone. I've had some nice drinks. And before the break, we were talking about wants, needs, and motivation. And now this is going to take a bit of a shift. We're talking about all the positive things we want, we need, and how we get motivated. Now we're going to go tolerations. Ugh. Just that word makes me feel frustrated. So what is a toleration? Okay. A toleration is that thing, that person, that feeling, that situation, that environment that makes us put up with a lot. That's really annoying. That's the word I use, annoying. That drains, holds us back, and becomes almost like something that we must do, or that dreaded word should. A toleration is a should. You should do this. You should go here. You should be able to do this. You should. But why? And they said, what happens when needs are not met? When needs are not met, it becomes a toleration. We're tolerating. You know, I've got a pain in my neck. I'm going to tolerate it because I don't want to go to the doctors. I'm not doing my needs, so I'm tolerating the pain. But I should go to the doctor. I should not want to hear this person. I should have to work with this person. They're unmet needs, crossing boundaries, demons in your mind, demons on the outside, lack of sleep, disrespect, annoyance of others, something in your shoe, a noise when you're about to go to sleep. It's all the little things that just irritate you and annoy you so much, and you're just like, ah. And they said, make a list of tolerations in your life. Think about your environment, your home, your relationships. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, I don't really know where to start. I'm not really tolerating that much. And I remember doing this about 6 months ago, and I remember on my first course, and I started like writing. I was like, I don't really tolerate that much. And then I was like, right, I do tolerate this. I tolerate this. Tolerate this. And then I wrote about 3 pages. I was like, oh, okay, I actually tolerate a lot. And things that I always used to really tolerate is sitting down for a long period of time. That was really tolerated because I need to be able to move to get my brain juices going. So sitting down, like not looking after my body by stretching. I do exercise a lot, but I do very high intensity. And my body was always really so achy because I hated stretching, but I was tolerating the pain. Less sleep because I wanted to have more hours awake. Because when I went back to school, I was tolerating someone in my life. I was tolerating annoying people. I was tolerating people crossing my boundaries. I was tolerating a lot. And it says, what is so negative about these? I know what's so negative about these is it doesn't make me feel good, one. It actually makes my life a lot less filled with joy. It drains my energy. Some days I would get home and I'd be like, why am I so tired? Because I tolerated so much. Obviously, some days we have really great days, but we're so busy, we get home tired. But if I get home tired and had a good day, it's different to when I get home tired because I've had to tolerate so much. And I was like, oh my goodness, there are so many things that I'm tolerating. So what's so negative about these is the fact that they're hindering myself moving forward. They're hindering me living my best life. And number one thing, they hinder my needs getting met. My needs are not being met because of tolerances. And they asked for patterns. So patterns for me were people. People was a huge tolerance in my life. Certain members of people. Boundaries, like not setting boundaries with people so that I don't have to tolerate people. I need to set boundaries. And the number one thing was environment, not giving myself permission to learn the way I do, to sit the way I want to do, to have the environment that I want, rather than what I should. Why should I sit down all day? Why? Should I? No, it tolerates me. But because other people don't do it. And I feel like tolerance is, people with ADHD tolerate a lot more because we're forced into this society where we need to do this, you should do this, you should be able to do this, you should be able to, should. When it's like, no, that's tolerances for us. Sitting down is not what I need. Sometimes, but sitting down is not what I need. I need to be able to move. So I bought a stand-up desk. And I have to, what is so negative about these? It hinders my life. They're barriers, boundaries. They're all things that hinder me from living the best life I need. And there was a lot of patterns that I did find. So what I did is I grouped them. So I wrote my list and then I grouped them into different patterns. And then I thought, okay, eliminating tolerations. How do we get rid? Okay. And I actually, an idea off one of my courses back in November was I made a sign and it says toleration free zone. And that's in my office. And I'm actually looking at it right now. It says toleration free zone. It's like a little flag I made. And that's to remind me that this right in your office is a toleration free zone. If you're tolerating something in here, then change it. And that's actually helped me into work, into my daily life, into my social life, into my emotional life. What are you tolerating? Have toleration free zones. Of course, sometimes you're not going to be able to have a free day, right? Because we're not in control of everything. However, having that reminders really helped me. And they asked you to, toleration free zone and zap away. How do we zap away? How do we eliminate these tolerations? Think of the possibilities of life without tolerations. I mean, that'd be like a dream. It'd be a dream, but it's not reality. We are going to have tolerations, but the small things that we tolerate build up. And they drain our energy. They drain our focus. They drain our executive functions. And people with ADHD can't afford to have drained energy by tolerations because, our brains, yes, do work in different ways, but we need to find those different ways to get our needs met in order to be able to focus, in order to be able to do these things. I mean, everybody does, but yet again, ours is more intense. And we need to be able to, we can't afford these energies just going for tolerations. And it really, really showed me of actually how much in my life I was tolerating and was draining my energy. And it's really fascinating. And then they have these things called pivotal tolerations. And it's when we get rid of one and it has a domino effect on others. So for mine was sitting down, listening, being able to move, not having enough space, and not being able to be very focused on online meetings. So what did I do? Well, I understood the source of it was sitting down on a desk. So I bought a stand-up desk that I have now, as well as a sit-down one. And guess what? It got rid of all those irritations. I have space because I move the room around. I can now listen better active listening. I can move around. I don't need to use so much stuff. And that's all because I found out what the source was the desk. In my job, the source was a person. And when that person was removed, everything then just went. All the tolerations putting up with just went. And it's, using your knowledge of what you need and what you want will help with this. Okay. So I think that's right. I need to be able to move, but I want to be able to be online with people. So how do I meet this? Well, get a desk. And all it is just changing the way you look at it. Okay. So they said that what could you do with these, what could you do to get rid of tolerations? There's many different things you could go. You could dump it, you could divide it, you could delegate the tasks, you could, deal with it. But I don't really like that deal with it. Maybe change your view, change your perspective, get rid of it, dump it, just do it. Discuss it with someone. There are lots of different things that you can do in order to get toleration. I made a flow chart that I put could I. So rather than should I, because they're the should I's, I put could I. Rather than thinking this is what I should be putting it, this is what should be, I say rather than should I say could I. What could I do instead? Could I? And then I go through my list. Could I, could I give this to somebody else? Could I put a date on it when I need to complete? Could I just change my perspective? Could I get rid of this toleration? So when it came to my desk, I said to myself, okay, could I dump it? No, I can't dump this toleration because could I change my perspective? Yes. And that's what I did. I changed my perspective to go, I don't need to be sat down to be able to listen. And I got my new desk. And it's like when it becomes, a toleration at work or a toleration with a task, like banking. I hate banking. Banking is just the worst job for me. So what did I do? I went through, I should be doing banking, but what did I do? I just changed it. I changed the way I looked at banking and I made something for myself. I made a system for myself. I put a due date, right, this is what you've got to do by this date. And then I did it and it worked. So it's just, rather than thinking we should be doing this, what could we be doing? And that's just something that I use. And little things like that really help me to reframe rather than, but really using those needs, wants, and motivators to help you eliminate these tolerations. We only have one life, people. Don't spend your life tolerating people, tolerating environments, tolerating things. Sometimes it's hard because, we're living in a society, we may live with people, some things may not be in our control. But are there some things that you can not tolerate, that you can meet, you can dump, you can change your perspective, you can discuss it, you can do these things that can help you give yourself a bit more energy, a bit more of your time. We may not be able to get rid of every toleration. I don't think anyone ever will. But can you eliminate a few? If you eliminate one, I'm sure that it'll open up a lot more doors than you may think. And it's quite a hard topic. It makes you feel angry to begin with, tolerations, that, itch on your skin, the pebble in your shoe. But they're things. And I hope that you find your way to live a toleration free-ish zone. And yeah, that's it for today. And we all like the really things that really link together, and it's really important. It's a big foundation. So next week we'll be talking about values and perspectives, and this one's a big one, perspectives, especially when it comes to ADHD and how we look at things. And so it's going to be a real big one. So it will be next week because I'm off school next week as well. So to finish today, I'm just going to end on an encouragement of the week from Muhammad Ali. It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe. It's not the huge task. It's not the huge thing. It's not sitting down that's actually the thing that drains you. It's the thing, the unmet need, the toleration that's going to tire you out. So take that pebble out your shoe, throw it, and take power of your life. Meet your needs, get what you want, and be motivated to get what you want and you desire in this world, because you all deserve it. And we all deserve it more than we think and more than we know. So take that power, take that pebble, and climb that mountain. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. I hope that you come back next week, learn, listen, and experience the world through the eyes of coaching training. Why not, hey? Have one hell of a week and climb that mountain. And we're out.
Dear Diary, as the training process goes on, it makes me stop and wonder, could there be more for us? More light, more possibilities, and a place where we can truly be ourselves? I think this journey will be...